Hi, and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri Barnum. I'm the Executive Director of New Shelves Books, and I am happy to be here for Free Advice Friday, where we talk about publishing, marketing, issues that writers face, and we answer your questions live every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We also take questions by email that we answer on Fridays. So if you do have a question, but you can't join us live, feel free to email those in to info@newshelves.com. And we are going to get started with a question that was emailed in from Kate. And Kate said, I wrote a manuscript that takes place early in the year, in February. When I release the book, if it's ready, that is, does it need to be in early spring or can it wait? Much of the story takes place at the beach and in a small beach house in Puget Sound. So, Kate, that one's a little bit tricky. If the book is set in February, it really depends on the story because you mentioned the beach and that it takes place in the beach. So if it takes place in the beach, but it's still very wintry, I'll tell you what happens in late spring as people are kind of over snow. I live in Western New York where we get a lot of snow, and snow is fun, right? It's fun in December and January. By February, you're just done. You're dreaming of beaches. And what happens is that if you try to release a book that has that cold feeling, that the setting is very cold, even if it's at the beach, if it's snowy, anything like that, what can often happen is people don't necessarily pick it up because they're looking forward to those warmer months. So you may run into a little bit of that. But if it's set in February and it kind of goes into spring and whatnot, then you can certainly market that book well into the spring or year round. What you want to avoid with this book, if you are going to release it past February, but it's set kind of in colder months, is you want to avoid snow or cold on the cover. A beach scene would be just fine. It doesn't mean it has to be hot on the beach. As someone who grew up at the beach, oftentimes we'd walk the beach, February, March. By April, you're already like at the beach. So I think it's just making sure that your marketing in your cover, which is the face of your book, really doesn't pigeonhole you into winter months. Now, with that said, I will say that if you are releasing this book, if it is really something, the setting is very important, the cold takes place a lot, and that's something that's pretty prevalent, I do think that you should probably wait. If it was me, I would wait to release that until the fall season, so that you can kind of get those fall and then, of course, winter and spring sales. But of course, up to you. That's just my advice and the ideas for if you do decide to release it in the spring, how you can make your cover a little bit more universal. I see a lot of people who have books that are kind of set in winter months and they make it very snowy. It sells great around Christmas time, but the rest of the year it's a struggle because people they kind of avoid it the rest of the year sometimes. All right. How do libraries and bookstores decide to buy your book? Airport stores. Share, there is a whole class or two on that I teach. So that is a big, big question. I can't cover it all, but I will give you the basics that when deciding on which books to offer for bookstores, for libraries, they're trying to see what books they think their audience will want. So for a bookstore, they're there to make money. I mean, it may sound crass to some, but that's what it is. Doesn't matter if they're a traditional bookstore, an indie bookstore. Do they want to support authors? Sure. Do they want to make money? Absolutely. And so that's really going to be their focus for stores. And so they're looking for books that they think will appeal to their audience and that will help earn them money. So if your book is kind of niche, if it is something that they don't think will sell much, they probably will not accept it into the bookstore. Furthermore, bookstores are looking to earn money through discounted wholesale priced books. That means a book must be priced at a 40% retail discount, which means if you're using Ingram Spark for print on demand, that you have to set your book at a 55% discount. If you don't do that, Bookstores are not going to take a second glance at you. There's no profit margin, so they cannot sell your book and still make a profit. They're going to go after the bigger fish, the bigger publishing companies who are offering not only marketing for those books, but also offering a discounted price and a bigger profit margin. So those are kind of the key basics to the bookstore market. I will say again, I have a full masterclass up on the New Shelves website. If you go to newshelves.com and you go to our store, there's a retail masterclass for authors. It's $19.99, comes with some downloadable templates and things like that to help you out. So I recommend that. I did drop the link in for anyone joining us live, but if you're watching the replay, go check it out. If you're really interested in breaking into the bookstore market, watching that class will give you a really good idea of what that means. And sometimes people think they want to be in bookstores. Watch that class, they learn a little bit more, and they're like, oh, maybe it's not for me. And sometimes they watch that class and they're like, I can do this. I can get my book into bookstores. But I think it's a really great foundation, and it also gives you tools for actually pitching your book to bookstores. So highly recommend that. As far as the libraries are a little bit different because the libraries are not into resale for profit. They are there to serve the community. So libraries, number one, are willing to take a book that isn't as discounted. They don't need that full trade discount. Sure, they like it. It makes their budget go further, but they will buy books that aren't on a full trade discount. There used to be where libraries really wanted hardcovers, and they do still buy hardcovers, but now we have this cool like plastic coating that can protect. It's called library binding. So it's like this really thick plastic that can go onto paperbacks. And so they are buying paperbacks. It's not just hardcovers anymore, but they're looking for books that will draw in their community and serve their community. So if you have a book that's focused on research, if you have a book that's focused on the community, a lot of people in libraries are people who are a little bit older or seniors. So anything having to do with senior care, senior issues, or young families. Children's books are hugely popular in libraries. Not only do they tend to get damaged and used the most, so they get replaced most often, but they also have a large community of kids that are, kindergarten and younger who aren't getting books from their school libraries. And so they're still marketing there, or they're still, getting a lot of people in. Now, with that said, libraries, about a third of them report ordering directly from Amazon, but most of them will still order through a wholesaler. So your book needs to be available from a wholesaler. Ingram is fine. If you're using Ingram Spark, you can get your book into Ingram for wholesale, and some libraries will order from there. However, most libraries like to use Baker and Taylor, and Baker and Taylor serves libraries exclusively. That's why libraries like them, because it's really tuned into their needs. So it's libraries and schools for Baker and Taylor. The thing with Baker and Taylor is there's not a print on demand option. You either have to go through a book distributor or apply directly. And if you apply directly, Baker and Taylor wants to know why they should partner with you. They want to know what kind of marketing you've got going on. They want to know what kind of demand you have for your books, and they want to make sure that it's worth them setting up that account. So I don't have a masterclass for that up online yet, but if you are interested in a class on library, shoot me an email. Maybe I'll do one. I can do a webinar sometime soon. So if anyone on here is interested in a library masterclass, just email me, info@newshelves.com. If we get enough interest, I'll set up a webinar. We can do a full hour of just tackling the library market. All right, let me go back here. Whoops. There we go. And you also share, I saw that you had also asked about airport stores, and I do have a pretty in-depth blog on the New Shelves website that's all about selling to airport stores. And so I'm going to drop that link in for you. Anyone watching the replay can simply go to newshelves.com, visit the blog, search airport, it pops right up. All right. Let me go back to an emailed question. to make sure we get those answered. All right, Vanessa is asking about distribution and ISBNs, which we get a lot of questions on. It's something that New Shelves consults on and works with a lot. So the question that Vanessa specifically had are, what are my options outside of Amazon for distribution? And I did just touch on them a little bit. You can go directly to Ingram Spark, which is print on demand still, and Ingram Spark will get your book into Ingram Wholesale. Ingram Wholesale, in turn, works with Barnes & Noble. They work with all of the bookstores. They work with Walmart.com and Target.com and so many other options. So that is probably the easiest way to up your distribution for print books. For print books is simply through Ingram Spark. Now, if you want bigger distribution, if you really want to get into Baker and Taylor, if you want to get into airport stores, then you probably need to consider working with a book distributor. And a book distributor requires offset print books. So you actually have to have a larger order of books printed. You ship them to the book distributor, and the book distributor has relationships with Ingram, Baker and Taylor, Brodart, all of these places. So then they can get your book into those wholesalers. And then in turn, you can market your books and they will be available from the wholesalers that these different places order from. Now, if we're talking about ebooks, you have options as well. You can use KDP for direct to Amazon for your ebooks. And if your book is not in Kindle Select for Kindle Unlimited, which is exclusive to Amazon for your ebook only, then you can upload your book to Ingram Spark, Smashwords, or my favorite, Draft to Digital, to get expanded distribution out from there. And that's how you can kind of, Draft to Digital will get your ebook into iBooks, Barnes & Noble, it'll get it into Nook, it'll get it into Kobo, Overdrive for the library systems, and so on and so forth. And as far as ISBNs, the question that came up was, can the same ISBN be used in US and Canada? Yes, your ISBN is universal. So if you get your ISBN for your country of record, so for me, that would be the United States, which means I go directly through Bowker at myidentifiers.com. If I'm in the UK, I also go through Bowker. However, I go through Bowker. Bowker.com, I think it is. So different options there. If you live in Canada, Canada actually provides free ISBNs to residents. So all you have to do is apply through the government and they issue you free ISBN. So different countries have different ways of doing that, but your ISBN is like the Social Security number for your book. And it is universal. It can be used. That one ISBN works in Canada, in the US, in Africa, in, Asia. It works everywhere. So you don't have to do multiple ISBNs for that. And as far as barcode, your barcode is also universal. However, if you're looking for a priced barcode, that is different. Most often, because most print books are selling in the US, UK, and Canada is where most of our print books are sold. So a lot of print books we will see, now that's not where they're printed, by the way. A lot of books are printed in China, but most of print books are sold in US, UK, and Canada. So most of the time when people are doing a barcode, that barcode's universal, but if you're doing a priced barcode, most of the time people will use US, Canadian, or UK currency. In some of them, you will actually see, like, it'll scan in as US, but the conversion or different prices for different places. I have a book that looks like that, but it's all the way over there, so I'm not going to go get it. But that's, that's kind of how we handle the barcodes. All right. When I list my book with Ingram Spark, do they list it on Amazon? That's a great question, BB. So if you list your book on Ingram Spark and your book is not uploaded to KDP, Ingram Spark through Ingram will list your book on Amazon. However, if your book, let's say it's a paperback, your paperback's already uploaded to KDP for sale on Amazon, and then you upload the same paperback, same ISBN to Ingram Spark for wholesale, what happens is that Ingram Spark gets pushed back. KDP, because it's Amazon's company, automatically goes to the front. So your book listing on Amazon will be directly from KDP, and then Ingram Spark doesn't really push out. Now, could they third party sell it on Amazon? Sure, they could. They don't care that much. Other people can sell it third party on Amazon if they get it through Ingram Spark or Ingram Wholesale, if it's like a bookstore, book depository, something like that. But your actual listing, the main listing that shows up and where you control it, would come through KDP. Now, let's say you have a jacketed hardcover, which KDP doesn't offer, and you're uploading that to Ingram Spark. What happens then is you upload your jacketed hardcover to Ingram Spark, and there's no option on KDP for that, for print on demand to Amazon. So Ingram Spark will then push that book listing over to Amazon. Amazon systems will say, oh, we don't have this one. And then that becomes the listing for that book there. And it will link together with your paperback and your ebook. Even if your paperback and your ebook are uploaded through KDP, your hardcover, because of the metadata, the title and the author name and that kind of thing, will link up and it'll show all on one listing. Or if it doesn't automatically do that within a week or so, you can request and they will do that for you. So hopefully that's not too confusing. I know book distribution is one of those things that it sounds so easy, but it can be a lot to grasp because you're using different places to get your book up and they all work together somehow. Let's see, how can I send a gift e-copy of my book to people in other countries? So you have a couple of options. You can either use something like BookFunnel, where you're uploading your book and sending out a link so that they can download your book for free, or you can actually do a gift copy directly from Amazon. When you do that, you essentially purchase copies of your book and then you send by email, you get their email address and you send out that gift card essentially to the book to other people, and it works in other countries as well. So 2 options for that, depending on how you're intending to do that. All right, Joe, I'm in the process of producing and releasing 2 children's books. Unfortunately, they will not be ready in time for the holidays. Bummer. What do you suggest as the best time to release them next year? Is it a terrible idea to release them at the same time? They are about completely different topics. So one thing at a time. Let's go with timing first. So of course, we know 40% of sales for books, but specifically for children's and young adult books, they sell in November and December, 40%. So it's a big market. But what you may not know is the second biggest sales period for children's books is Easter. So if you have a children's book and you're not making it for the holiday market, you've got another shop coming up hot. If you can get that book out, I would recommend getting it out by February so that you can hit that Easter market. Then you have a lot of opportunity for another big sales bit. As far as how to release those books, if they're in a series, you may want to do a rapid release, but not a simultaneous release. So you may, if it's in a series, want to do one book and then do another about 6 weeks later. But if they're totally different topics, you can release them both at once. The thing that you have to think about if you're doing that is you have to keep in mind that you're going to have to work twice as hard to get reviews and things like that. So you would have to work. I totally just swallowed a gnat. No, I'm kidding. Give me a second. All right, you guys, that's a first on Free Advice Friday. Let me regroup just 1 second. I needed some extra protein, apparently. All right, let's hop on. Let's hop back to that one, Joe. All right. If you are trying to release them, just know that you're going to have to work kind of simultaneously to get reviews to both books, which may mean that you're not giving full push to one book and getting as much success in building the audience. So it also depends on the audience you already have. Do you have a big email list already? If not, you may want to use one book as your figurehead, start building that list, start building that audience. So when you release the second book, you have a wider audience to release to, which means you would have more opportunities to push that book out to get reviews. And you're not asking a lot of your audience at once. It's one thing to ask for reviews for one book, and then maybe a couple weeks later, even a couple months later, ask for reviews for another book online. But if you're asking for two books, sometimes people just feel like it's a lot, even though it's a children's book and it's only, 25, 30 pages. It's still time and effort. So you want to kind of think about your support group, how much you can ask of them, how willing they'll be, and also, does it make sense? Do you think the sales will be there? If you are going to do a targeted bookstore pitch and campaign for the Easter season, number one, you need to start doing that in January. If not, November. But if you're trying to do that and I've got their attention now, I want to sell them both books, well, then that's a strategic reason to release both of them at the same time. So you really need to think about your resources as well as your overall goals and your plans to make sure that you can maximize everything, which would take kind of a bigger picture look to make decisions on. Yes. Free Nat Friday. You can have mine share, no problem. All right. Getting back to the gifting of an ebook to people in other countries. Am I paying it for it at an author's price? So if it's an ebook, there's just one price. There's no author's price for an ebook. So you're paying retail price for an ebook if you're gifting it to anybody, whether it's in your country or a different country. So you can certainly do that. Now, if you're not trying for verified sales, if you're not so much worried about verified sales and you just want to send them the ebook so they can review it, book funnel all day long, because it's easy. You pay a one-time fee for the year, and then you can host it there. People can download it, and you're not paying per the book. Also, this has changed multiple times throughout the years. It used to be that when you sent a ebook gift copy of your book, Amazon would count the review as verified. Then they weren't doing that because they said that person did not buy the book. Someone else bought the book for them. So those were no longer counted as verified reviews. Then for a couple of months, it was showing up as verified again, and then it wasn't. So if your point is verified reviews, you definitely would want to test that to see what their policy is today, because it does change, and make sure that you're not spending all this money to send out ebook gift copies instead of using something like BookFunnel, only to realize it's not counting as a verified review. So all things to consider. Okay. Mike is asking if anyone has worked with a company called The Title Tailor. They advertise in the IBPA magazine and specialize in helping authors create the ideal title for their books. I have to say, Mike, aside from being in the IBPA magazine, I have not heard with them or worked with them, so I can't give any advice there. Certainly, if anyone else on the call has, feel free to drop it in the chat. Or Mike, you may consider, obviously, I'm sure you're going to Google them, but also maybe check out the Alliance of Independent Authors. They have their list of providers that they kind of vet. They might have more information there as well. Yeah. What exactly is a verified review? So a verified review on Amazon verifies that that person bought the book from Amazon. So if I order the Bible, if I ordered the Bible from Amazon, and then I go to my order from where I bought the Bible and I review the Bible, which might send me to hell. If I then leave a review for the Bible, then what happens is that it's verified, because Amazon can verify that I am a true customer, that I bought that book on their website, that I got it for myself, and then I reviewed it. That's as close as they can come to verifying it's a true review and not someone just leaving a review because I was paid to or anything else. So that is kind of the idea behind a verified review. So if you have a gift copy, this is why the gift copies were not the comments over here. I just love it. If it's a gift copy, then they are saying essentially they can't verify that you bought it, because what happened is a lot of authors were doing this. They were gifting ebook copies so that they could get verified reviews, but then essentially they're paying for the review because they're paying for the book, which is against Amazon's terms of service. And then it was just this big cluster that ended up in a lot of gifted ebook reviews not being verified. So the only way to get a verified review is to order on your account, review on your account, and they can verify that you had it. And the reason why it matters is that those reviews hold more weight on Amazon, because Amazon can verify it's a real customer who really ordered the product. They will often put those reviews to the top of the review list rather than other reviews that aren't verified. So that's why they matter. They hold more weight. And yes, I love dear Jane, Pastor Jane, who says I review the Bible every Sunday. You do, just not on Amazon. Let's see, although maybe you should. Maybe that's a new thing. All right. Let me see. Let me go back to email because I want to make sure that I look through that. All right. This question was really good, and it was from Anne. And Anne has books about animals, specifically about friendships with animals, with interacting with wild animals. Excuse me. And so the question was, I'm having a really hard time marketing my book because it's about animals and it's not necessarily selling to book people. And here is the thing. When marketing a book, it just makes sense to go find readers, like people who are already reading books, and market to them. For example, on Goodreads or to Kindle or author groups or places where people are already reading books. However, if your book, especially if it's nonfiction or a memoir, or it deals with a life experience, if it goes beyond a great mystery or romance or something that's just very reader heavy, where people just like to read, so they read these books, think about where your audience is who aren't readers. Who loves animals? Who's into animal rescue? Who's into, following wild wolves or the horses that are wild in North Carolina? Who are those people? And would they be willing to read a book if it was on a topic they love? That's where you're going to find your audience. If you have a book on PTSD, for example, okay, so you have a book on PTSD. That doesn't, so you only want to reach people who are heavy readers and have PTSD? No, of course not. You want to reach people who need help. So where do people with PTSD tend to hang out at? Maybe it's a support group. Maybe it's with a therapist. Maybe it's, different places like that. So I'm not saying you don't market your book to reader heavy places like Goodreads or to book clubs, but I am saying if your book transcends the reader community and could really call to certain groups or certain people off that reader community, go find them. Go find those people who already love the topic you're writing about. Go blog for them. Go get on their podcast. Start a podcast for them. Go be part of their Facebook support groups and interact with them. I'm not saying you go in there and you just plaster an ad for your book everywhere. I'm saying you go be a part of their community. Start interacting, start offering your insights, your experiences, and work your book into that. I think that's something that is often very hard, because when you work in book marketing, I see this so often, is that a lot of authors and a lot of publishers and even a lot of book marketing companies say, well, we market books, so we're gonna go to where books sell. But sometimes it's not where your audience is at. This is why Colleen Hoover has taken off, by the way, because her book started to be shown to groups of people who weren't traditionally readers. She was just hitting because other people were talking about her books on TikTok. Her books took off because they were being raved about to women by women. They are about domestic abuse. And there were women talking about how it inspired them, how it encouraged them. And so there was a whole readership of people who probably were not browsing around on Goodreads who decided to go buy her books. There were people who were poetry fans who maybe aren't reading a ton of romance, which she tends to write, but because poetry people were talking about her books, because she's got books that deal, they're slammed, it's like slam poetry, they're talking about it. She reached a new audience. And yes, she had the help of people who were essentially just talking about her books. You can create that same kind of buzz, and that's where magic happens. Colleen Hoover, by the way, her newest book that just came out, 800,000 print copies in the first week it was out, which is incredible. She has sold, I believe, 10 million copies of her books, which is incredible. I mean, that's just incredible. So the power of, yes, go to the tried and true, go to your reader communities, but go find your readers other places if the topics you write about make sense outside of reader communities. If you're writing a book about animals and about living with a wild deer or a wild wolf, go find your animal lovers, go find your rescue supporters, your people who are trying to make sure that animals have land to roam on. Those are the people who may not be looking for books, but who would read yours. And in a positive note as well, that market is probably less oversaturated with books because that's not what they're really there for. It'll be easier to stand out if you do it if you do it well, if you be a part of the community and you offer and don't just spam, you can really have a lot of success there. All right. Oh, so Elaine just tried doing an ebook gift outside of the US and she's saying it doesn't work. I would wonder, Elaine, if you went on, so if you're on Amazon.com and tried to gift books and it didn't work and you're trying to send outside the country, like let's say you're trying to send to the UK, I do wonder if you went to Amazon.com.uk, which is the UK's website, and tried to gift it from there, if that would work. So that might be an idea as well. But thank you for letting us know. All right. As far as Joe's asking, when pitching your book to bookstores and airports, is it better to pitch one book at a time or multiple books if you have them? It depends. If all of your books are in the same genre, they're to the same audience, you can pitch multiples. Publishers will, in some cases, pitch an entire catalog. So it really depends on you. I think that if you personally are going and you're pitching as an author your books, you probably want to make sure you stick to the same genres. So we don't want to have children's books, nonfiction books, and an adult book all in one thing, because there are different buyers for those, especially in bigger bookstores. But if you have 3 children's books, I think that's great. Pitch all 3. Make sure you focus on probably one, but then mention the others. I probably wouldn't do more than 3 or 5 at the most at one time when you're pitching, because it becomes overwhelming and you always want one focal point. Our newest book is, and you tell them about that. We also have a backlist of books, and then you list those out as well. That's how I do it anyway, for what that's worth. No. Share the answer to that is no. All right. Back to our email here. All right. The next question we had, whoops, I lost my Zoom screen. Oh no, not the first time, I know. All right, the next question we have is from Lisa. Lisa, I see you on here. So the question Lisa had was, her book was coming out, and then she didn't find out until after the launch that her book, which came out with a publisher, had lost their PR and their marketing figurehead, the person who was going to be, pushing the book out. So her book didn't quite get the launch that she wanted. And the question is, once the book is out, what can you do? What can you push? How do you continue to market a book if it wasn't launched with the strength that you had hoped for, or if it's kind of been a little while, your initial marketing push and your launch is over, how do you keep a book alive? And I have good news for you. There are a lot of things you can do. Bookstores, for instance, generally want a book in the first year that it's published, sometimes the first 2 years. So if it's after that, you don't have as many chances. However, if you have a book that you think would do well in a library, libraries typically like to keep their books or their catalog 10 years old or younger. That means that they're trying not to have books older right now than 2012. So if your book's a year or two old, you still have time to get into a library. Plenty of time. In most libraries, their catalogs are actually closer. The average age is closer to 15 to 20 years old, but their goal when they're filtering out books is to have books that have been published in the last 10 years. So you can still market to libraries. You can do that. You can certainly work with a company. New Shelves markets to libraries, but you can market to a library as well. And as I mentioned, if there's enough interest for a library webinar, I will happily do that for you guys. And so that's one thing you can do. Another thing is, if your book is strong, if it's something that can still be out there, you can still advertise it. Books are coming back. Like, you can still market a book for a long time. You have the option of Amazon ads, either as a indie publisher or as a traditionally published author. You have the option of running Amazon ads for your book and getting buzz there. You can run Facebook ads. There are a lot of reader communities on Facebook. Once again, like I was talking with the animal books, if you have an audience that is kind of more leaning towards one religion, one culture, go find where those people are communicating at. See if they have magazines, see if there are group boards or chats or communities where you can build kind of a readership around that. If you have not yet reached out to your local newspapers, your local communities, reach out, ask for an interview, ask for a interview, because their focus is not going to be on, wow, this book just came out and it's a New York Times bestseller. Their focus is going to be on the local author. So you still have opportunities to get interviews, to get some buzz there. The important thing, and I know I harp on this, but when we're talking about PR and marketing, PR is really important because it just gets your brand, your name, your book title known. It's pushing it out there. It's interviews, it's reviews, and that is important. However, it must be followed up with marketing, because marketing is where you are asking for a sale. PR is when you're telling people about the book. You're telling them about you. Marketing is when you're asking for a sale. So you want to go get an interview. You want to make sure that you are doing these things. But if you get on someone's podcast, you want to make sure that you end it by saying, and if you would like a signed copy, you can visit me at www.blah, blah, blah, and I will happily get signed copies out before Christmas. You want to ask for that sale, or you want to make sure that you have ads running to the community that you've just interviewed for, or guest podcasted or something like that for, so that you have an opportunity to make the sale after they've gotten to know you. I also think it's not too late to do, if there's local bookstores, it's not too late to do an event, to do a book signing, to get your name out that way. And just overall building that community and making sure that you're building this with the idea, is this one book and you're done? Or are you going to write more books? If you're going to write more books, then It's about a long-term platform of building up your readership, knowing who they are. So when your next book comes out, you have the opportunity to make a stronger presentation at your book launch. So whether you have a publisher or don't have a publisher, it's becoming more and more common for the author to be front and center, to be expected to be the person who's marketing their book. So it's just smart to make your own platform to start building that. And it's never too late. I've seen books that have been out for several years suddenly pick up when they're actually given time and attention in marketing. I have a client that had a book come out in 2015 with a big publisher, big publisher, came out in 2015, had almost no reviews. It was not getting sales. We started working together and I was like, look, this is what you got to do. And he did it. And you know what? His book has sold more in the last 2 years than it did when it came out with the big name publisher, because he was consistently marketing it. He's finding his audience. Where's your audience at? Go make friends with them. Go share your book with them. And it's something that can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be consistent. Your book's dead when either the information is no longer true, if it's kind of aged out, or when you give up on it. I mean, there are still books that are 20 years old that people are reading. So you have a lot of opportunity left. For anyone, excuse me, who's kind of struggling, saying, I'll put in the work, I'll do it, but I don't know what to do. If you need a roadmap, if you need a help, let me know. I do set up consulting calls for this. Not just to, I mean, New Shelves does full marketing campaigns, but a lot of what we do is setting up a roadmap of how authors can help themselves. What specifically, not just go find a bookstore, but what specifically can you do geared towards your book and your audience to gain readership, to grow your platform, and to make sure that your current and future books have the best shot of sales possible. So you can always give me a call. Yes. And the Bible is in every hotel room, and that's marketing. Yes, it sure is. It was really funny. Actually, someone, Jane Ubell, who does bedside reading, who has a program where she gets books into hotels. She said, can you imagine if your book was in every hotel in the world? And I said, yes, Jesus knows exactly what that feels like. I thought it was hilarious. A little bit silent in the room, but I still think it's funny. And yeah, that's marketing. I mean, yes, it's helpful and it's positive, but it's also marketing. Absolutely. Yes, Cheryl's asking about a New Shelves library mailing, which we do about quarterly. I do have a library mailing coming up in December. The children's book mailing is actually early December, and then as we get closer to the new year, we will be doing kind of nonfiction books. So that is an option. Let me drop that link in there for you. Children's books have been really, really hot in the library market lately. So if you have a children's book, but also as we come up on January, nonfiction is going to be huge. Mysteries, romances are always big in the library market, just to name a couple of the things that are just consistent sales. All right, there we go. I dropped the link in. If you are on the replay and you'd like the link to our library mailing, just email us, info@newshelves.com, and I'll make sure you get an updated link. All right, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to follow up. Last week, we talked about Amazon attribution links. So if you weren't here, you can go watch the replay. Highly recommend it. Amazon is now allowing authors to create attribution links. So when you market your book off of Amazon, let's say you're doing Facebook ads, but you're directing people to Amazon to buy the book because it's an ad. If you're doing that, you can now create a link where what happens is Amazon will now track that link to see what kind of sales and what kind of movement you're getting, which before it was all correlation. We couldn't really follow it. It's not like the pixel stuff works. Now we can track it with Amazon attribution, which I think is amazing. And I know no one will be surprised by this, but I have so many so many things up. I have to find the right, here we go. I have to find the right tab so I can share with you. All right. This is the library mailing, by the way. Looks like that. Pitch to bookstores. We saw that. Here we go. Okay, all of that to get here. So last week we talked about how to create a Amazon attribution link. So I won't go over that again, but if you come back to your measurements and reporting and you do your Amazon attribution link, I wanted to show you some of the tracking. I started using a link in this week in a Facebook ad that is running, and I wanted to show you what kind of data you actually get. So we are doing this, it's for social media. So this is the campaign. So this is all of the links I created for social media, for TikTok, for BookBub, all of that shows up under here, or I can get more specifics per link. So this one actually breaks it out for Facebook, TikTok. I only used it for Facebook, so that's why, you know, nothing else is showing yet. But this is what we're looking at. So we want to look at for Facebook, and it's going to tell us our stats, and it's beautiful. It makes me so happy. So we can see that this is our Facebook link here. Click through obviously is people who clicked on our tagged link to go directly to our Amazon sales page. There were 127 of them. DPV, I'll hover over that, is the number of views of the advertised products detail pages on Amazon. So that's how many people actually stayed on the detail page on Amazon. Little confusing about how the click-throughs and the detail page views matters. I'm not quite sure why that's different, but we shall learn over time. And then purchases, I think, is all self-explanatory. We know there were 2 outright purchases, 2 units sold as a result of our Facebook ad using this link. And then what I really love, because this book is on Kindle Unlimited, is that we can see the KENP, the Kindle page read as well. And there was 302. And it also tells us the estimated sales from Kindle Unlimited. So $1.42. So when looking at this, I can see 2 books were sold and that are KENP 302. Now that could be one person reading the entire book. It could be 5 people who have started reading the book. I don't really know long-term, that could change. But what I'm so excited about is, number one, we know that our ads are actually converting, which is amazing. And you may be saying, all right, Keri, let's just say that 3 people are reading on Kindle Unlimited. So out of 120 clicks, you know me, I gotta get my calculator. So out of 127 clicks, let's say that 2 people outright ordered and 3 started reading on Kindle Unlimited. So that's 5 conversions. So 127 clicks divided by 5. That means only 1 in 25 people is buying the book or consuming the book. That's not fantastic, except for it is, because we're not on Amazon where people are already looking to buy something. This is converting from Facebook. Facebook, where people are just looking at pictures of their friend's dog and watching videos about lizard skins, and then they decide to click over and they're converting to a sale. So actually, to get a new reader, that's not too bad, 1 in every 25, which makes me feel pretty good about our ads. Furthermore, this is the first book in a 10, I think it's 10 books now, a 10-book series. This is our loss leader. So if I can get people onto this series and I can actually track my Facebook ads and see how many people I'm getting through, how much I'm spending, if it makes sense and their conversion is good to the rest of the series and we're earning money on the next 9 books, I know it's worth it. I didn't know that before. I could guess, I could correlate, but I didn't know. And that's why it's so exciting. Also, I know for this ad in particular on Facebook, our cost per click on average is about 4 cents. So I can take that 4 cents times 127 and say, okay, I spend about $5.08 on clicks. This ad earned $1.42. So let me just take out $1.42. And then there are also 2 ebook sales, which I happen to know this person gets about $2 royalty per ebook sale. So I'm going to take out another $4. I earned, well, I didn't earn, but I helped them earn 34 cents. So this ad is actually profitable. It's not just a loss leader, it's profitable. Very, very tiny profits. But again, it's a lead in to an entire series, which is worth it to me. Now, is that worth it for a standalone? Maybe not. But now we can track it in a more real way, which I find very exciting. And you can actually see the clicks and the numbers. You know me, you know I like my data. And so again, I think this is very exciting. I think it's a good way to help us decide if our ads outside of Amazon are actually earning their keep, if they are making sense, and if they are actually profiting. And Gary's asking, how much did you have to spend on Facebook to achieve 127 clicks? And the answer to that, Gary, is this ad in particular spends a max of $2 a day. A lot of my Facebook ads, I know people who spend hundreds a day. Most of my Facebook ads will spend between $1 and $3 a day max. And this one, I actually only put in the link, I think it was on November 7th. So that means that it's been 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. So max, this ad would have spent $10 on those 127 clicks at the very top. It didn't spend that much though, because again, we know just because you set a budget doesn't mean you actually spend that much. So that's kind of the interesting thing. Now we can do that, and now we can kind of follow that and see. So sorry to geek out for a minute, but I'm very excited about that. If you are running ads on Facebook, highly recommend you go set up your Amazon attribution links. You can use this, I confirmed, if you're a traditional author, you can use this by going through Author Central using the marketing opportunities through Author Central. You can create attribution links for your books to use on Facebook. If you're doing TikTok, if you're on TikTok and you're like, man, I don't know if it's worth it, you can create an attribution link for TikTok that you put in your profile or whatever it is. You can do it for BookBub. This is a big thing. BookBub ads have been one of those things, not BookBub featured deals, but BookBub ads have been one of those things that people have talked about for a long time, that they can use a lot of money, and do they pay off? And you don't really know. You get impressions, you get clicks. Now you can actually track it and see more information. I actually want to do that because I have my suspicions. So again, I think it's just one of those things. It's free. It costs you nothing. I did show you how to do it last week, so you can go check the replay, and you just use this tagged link and it sends them directly to your Amazon sales page. I think it's awesome. All right, my friends, it is 11 o'clock. I have another call, so I have to run. But thank you for joining me. I hope we got to your questions. If I did not get to your questions, please feel free to join next week, same time, same place. Wait, next week. Next week, I will be in Vegas, but there will still be a Free Advice Friday. Also, by the way, I'm doing an interview with a audiobook narrator later on today. So I have kind of put together my own questions, but if you have questions specifically for an audiobook narrator or about audiobooks or audiobook marketing that you want me to ask him, email them over, info@newshelves.com. If you send those in the next 2 hours, I will get them and I will ask them, and then you will get your answers in that video. So thank you for being here. If you have questions, let me know, and we will see you next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Bye, guys.